What's going on, everybody? LK here, back at it again with another video, and today, a little bit of real talk for y'all. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these. I've been doing a lot of, tutorials and stuff like that, talking about Guilty Gear, all sorts of stuff. This one I think is pretty important for Dragon Ball, extra important for Dragon Ball, actually, but it applies to all fighting games in general, and it's actually two things. You don't always have to be correct, and you have to also be okay with being incorrect. Two sort of similar sounding statements, and they are a little similar, but they differ, and it's really important to talk about in this game because these ideas are really built into the game compared to other games. It's something that I've been also been becoming more comfortable with as well, because of the way I generally tend to play fighting games is not the most effective way to play this game specifically. So let's go into that, right? So the classic problem that I could use to show you need to be okay if not always being correct is this. Do I have it recorded? No, of course not. Okay, I think I do have it recorded. So is this, it is the, yes, okay, I did. Like a good YouTuber, I have it ready. Are they going to jump in or are they going to jump super dash, right? So one thing about Dragon Ball is that built into this game, they have a lot of mechanics and things in place to make sure that players don't get checkmated very often, right? So let's say in a standard fighting game, right? Standard is a little bit too sharp. Let's just say like another Arc Sys game, right? If you use all your movement options, let's say you double jump twice, right? Unless you have a double jump and two air dashes, you would not be able to air dash here. So you would have no movement options. So what would I do? Let's say you did this and we're playing a game without super dash. I would probably try to run under you. Maybe if I had a character that could do it, I would reposition for anti-air. Maybe you have good jump-in, so I just get out of there and switch, right? But in Dragon Ball, let's turn this one off. In Dragon Ball, even when you use all your movement options, you still have Vanish and Super Dash available. And generally, you have to wait for those, which creates this problem. Before we have all the just 2H just Super Dash bros show up, that is what happens if you do it with the same, I'm doing the same timing. The Super Dash will hit, but if they jump in, you would hit them, right? You can sit there and wait for the Super Dash, but then you have to block the jump in, right? This is a very easy example of showing why you have to be okay with not being always right all the time, because the game very frequently has things in place to make sure you can't be right all the time. So you have to be okay with either gathering info or just ejecting yourself or taking the risk, which goes into the other part, which is you have to be okay with being wrong because they have those options. Super Dash is indeed a risk. Like if I wait, I am gonna hit you if I wait. It's a big risk. If you use all your options and you do it anyway, and you wait, then yes, it's over, right? You're going to take a lot of damage. But the fact is it's there. There's always options like that in the game, and you just have to be comfortable. When you're wrong, you just have to be okay with being wrong. This is why I feel like one of the main reasons why Snap is so like hated, and like fuzzies, offensive fuzzies are so hated in this game, because that is one of the few, very few, true checkmate situations in the game. And I wouldn't even totally call it a checkmate situation. It's, if you compare it to other fighting games, it's just like you're taking a setup that you can't escape. And like the way that Dragon Ball works, it's hard to kill people on initial hits anyway, so you're not even actually dying for it, and now there's Guard Council Spark, so you can still get out anyway if you want to. But a lot of the reason why people say things like, more experienced players say things like, one of the things you have to do to, like, let's say beat X or Y character that has really strong setups is avoid that situation. is because they understand that, like, once you get there, that is, like, the win condition, right? That is how they are trying to win the game. That is a really boxed-in situation. It's hard to escape. You have to guess. It's really, really rough, right? And Dragon Ball still allows you at least one out. At least one out. So when you're making these choices in this game, the way the frame data is built is like, there's not a lot of heavy advantageous situations in the game from solo characters. So you have the opportunity to take risks, guess, try to escape, challenge. You have the opportunity to do those things. And when you're right, the game rewards you a lot. One thing about Reflect, our good old buddy Reflect, is that if you get a successful one, and I definitely do not have it on normal, but if you get a successful one, you can get a good return. Like, you can get a good fat punish on this. If they bait you, it's game over, right? So you have to be comfortable with making these hard choices. I think the people who are the most successful in this game have not just good understanding of risk return, but they're also very willing to commit to choices sometimes, and when they're wrong, too bad, it happens. The game doesn't even punish you that much for getting punished unless you totally lose a character, right? Or get snapped. Those are probably the two worst things that could happen to you. And when they're right, so they get to keep playing. Being able to judge between taking a risk and being okay with it, and choosing to not take risks on purpose will help you a lot to advance your game. I want to show a couple more examples of how the game gives you opportunities to make these types of choices more often, and that's why people feel like it's so hard to play like a stable game. Or I know in another video I made previously about fuzzies, like I say too, like, you should aim to avoid those situations. You should aim to minimize how often you get put in those mix-up situations. Is it hard? Yes. But when you say, man, just avoid the situation, bro. Just don't get hit ever, bro. Like, you're missing the point. The point is you need to make your decision-making around these things so that you avoid those situations as much as possible. Of course, you're not always going to avoid a situation, but if you know what to do in that situation, if you understand the game gives you outs anyway, and how the game functions as a whole, you'll be a lot more comfortable in your decision making and how your match even works, like the whole match, right? So let's look at a couple situations. So of course I talked about this, right? The jump forward, super dash, or jump nothing is a very, very common one. Another one, of course, would be after knockdown. So slide knockdown, of course, you have a few tech options, right? Depending how people do setups, because everyone does different things. Like, some people just stand there, some people run at your tech and just ignore up tech. Some people try to cover everything with assist, but then they have to take reflect into account. Some people will do setups normally, but then sometimes do nothing and just try to hard bait your reflect. There's all types of things that people do, right? In this situation, as opposed to, like, let's say a game where there's just hard knockdown, that's it, you just run your setup or whatever, Dragon Ball gives the defender the opportunity to take a big risk to get out. And if you're right, then you're right, and you get out, and cool, maybe you kill him, right? Like, maybe you play Team Gohan, and you DP their safe jump and kill the character, right? Maybe they bait you, and you die, right? But when you do this, and it gets hit, or blocked or something, it's cool. You just have to be like, it's cool, I took the risk, it's fine, I have 2 more characters, it sucks that I'm behind, but, like, I understood that if this was correct, this would happen. If I was wrong, this would happen. If I did nothing, I would just be blocking, right? Expand this to the whole game, right? This is why, again, for those just 2H to Super Dash bros, why people choose to jump block so much is because they don't want to get hit by accident. That's mitigating the risk instead of trying to challenge every single time. Another example is with pressure. So let's talk about pressure a little bit. A lot of moves in the game are minus, right? Like, this is minus. This is -4. Some people will do this and they'll just keep going. Some people will do this and they'll backdash. Some trickier people will space themselves so that they'll hit your jabs even though they're minus. They'll slide under your jab and hit you anyway. But it's minus, so what do you do? You can jump, because it's -4, jump is 4 for your startup. You could jump, you could mash, you could chase their backdash. It's a big risk, right? If you chase their backdash and they happen to jab you again, well, you just have to be okay with it. You just have to be okay with it. This game, more than a lot of other games, I think, or at least the ones that I've played, forces you to constantly make these little decisions. These little, like, -5, -4, -3, even, +2. I use all my options, but this really risky one. Like, they have a lot of choices like this in the game. It happens very frequently per character, per match. And it's on you, the player, all of us, really, to choose the ones you want to attack. Be okay with the choice, and when you're wrong, too bad, right? And the game doesn't even punish you that bad, unless you lose a character, literally lose your character. It is not really that bad. The last thing I want to talk about is Snap, specifically for Snap, because I won't say all the time, thanks to the way the game is made, it's not always your fault that you got hit. Let's say 80% of the time, it's your fault that you got hit, right? But when you snap, and I said this before, but when you get snapped, the character that took damage initially is not taking damage anymore. So a lot of those people who are like, man, I hate Piccolo, right? Piccolo, he hits me, he snaps until a character of mine dies. I have to use my spark to get out. I don't think you're wrong, but the game gives you at least one get out of jail free card, as opposed to other games where sometimes you would just be screwed. It would be over. He hits you, done, goodbye, GG, next round, or whatever, right? Or in the case of Marvel, hits you, over, incoming, you get mixed up on incoming, over, right? The game always gives you something. Always, always, always gives you something. And you can still plan around these things. For example, one thing that I did with Bardock, I do less with Team Gohan because he's much more consistent at 2-touching. But Bardock, I would hit you, right? So I'd hit you once, and then hit you on my setup. And if I hit you on the setup, it's time. I'd spark, kill the 4 bars I need to kill you, and just get rid of the character. So in the case of Piccolo, if I got the hit first on Piccolo, hit him, knock him down, mix him up, spark immediately, kill him, out of the game, 3-2, me. I don't have my spark, but the problem, the character who's snapping me over and over and over and building all this meter and getting all these resources is gone, right? So try to think of it like that. Try to strategize a little bit more, plan my character a little bit more, pick your spots, because the game gives you a ton of spots. And I think that's actually one of the hardest parts of the whole game, is how many choices you have to make per match, and how many times you have to be willing to either take that risk, pick the safe thing, or do nothing and being okay with the consequences of your actions. Being good at this is a really, really important fighting game skill overall, and probably, despite me not really thinking this is a good first fighting game, if you want to be good at fighting games, that skill is a very, very important one overall in this genre. So if you can understand this and stop complaining a little bit, it's okay to complain, actually, I'm kidding. It's okay to complain, but at least channel that complaining energy into your play. It'll benefit you a lot. Okay, cool. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I will see you next time. Peace out.